Okay, so far we've been using percent to represent information like tax, tip, commission, and interest. And we've learned that percents are a useful way to display information. Everybody looks at a percent, something like 25%, and they know that we're comparing this to 100. So there's another type of information that we might want to share using a percent, and that is the percent change or the percent increase or decrease. It's the same. So you see a lot of examples of this in your everyday life. You see, on a cereal box it says 20% more free. This is percent change here. That's saying that the original box of cereal or the normal box of cereal has 20% less cereal than what's in this box. So the new box has 20% more. So that's a percent change that we're seeing here. Another time we might see percent change is if we are thinking about maybe the weather. We see newscasters, they say, this year we got 40% less snow in January than we got last January. That's representing a percent decrease. So the good news is that we're still going to use the same percent formula to calculate percent interest or percent increase and percent decrease. We just have to remember what information goes where in the formula. So if we have our formula, part equals percent times whole. All we have to remember for percent increase and decrease is that the part is always the difference between the original amount and the new amount. And this part is always positive. It's always positive. The percent is, these things always match. When we write a let statement, these things always match. So this is the difference between the original amount and the new amount. The part is the change. So the percent is going to match that, and that is going to be the percent of change. And that could be percent increase or percent decrease. It's the percent increase. We know it's percent increase when the original amount is less than the new amount. So if you started in your bank account with $10 and then you had $20, which is the new amount, the amount of money in your bank account increased. So we would say the percent increase. Percent decrease is like when the new amount is greater or is less than the original amount. So that would be like if you had $10 in your bank account and then you spent $10 and you had zero left, then you started with more than you ended with, and so we're finding the percent decrease. So the rest of the formula, that would be times your whole is always going to be your original amount. And that makes sense. This is what you started with. So for any percent equation that we've been using so far, the whole has always been like you start your bank account balance with your principal, which is the original amount, and then you find the interest, and then this is the interest. Or you start with the check amount for your restaurant tab, and then you're finding the tip, and then the tip is a part of the original bill, that's the original amount. So nothing has changed here. Just remember, original is always whole. The difference between the original amount and the new amount, or the change, amount of change, is always the part. So let's look at an example. So Miss Murata is looking at the 7th grade DC Club balance at the beginning of the school year this year. And when she's looking at it, she sees that there is $2,300 to start. That's how much there is to start. And that's at the beginning of the school year, the original amount. At the end of the second quarter, she checks it again and she sees that there is $3,700 in the account. So that's the new amount. So the first thing we think is from $2,300 to $3,700, we had less, then we got more. So this is increasing from the beginning of the year to halfway through the school year. This is increasing. So we are looking for the percent increase. Also, we know that in our, well, let's start our equation, then we'll know. So we'll say part equals percent times whole. The part is always the difference between the new amount and the original amount. So if the new amount is $3,700, and then we subtract the beginning balance, we get $1,400. This is the change, the amount of change. So $1,400 is the part, and that equals, the percent is what we're looking for. Miss Murata is wondering what percent increase happened with the account. What is the percent of the account's increase? So we know that that's what we're going to write our let statement for. So we'll say that let P equal the percent increase of money in the account. So that's going to go in here. The whole is always, 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 always the original amount. So the original amount is always the whole. So that's 2,300 times 2,300. So to get P by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 2,300. Divided by 2,300. Well, you do one to one side, you got to do to the other. This makes our big 1. 1,400 divided by 2,300 equals 0.608 ... which we could round to 0.61, which is approximately P. And then we see, okay, this is P, but what's P? So then that's when we know to look back at our let statement. And we see that 0.61 is the percent increase. In the account. We also notice that this is looking for a percent, and this is not a percent. Not a percent. This is a decimal. So this has to be converted to a percent. And in order to do that, we learned that we can multiply by 100, or we could say there are 61 hundredths. 1 is in the hundredths place. 61 hundredths. And both of these will give you the same answer, which is 61%. And that is the percent increase of money in the DC Club account. And so Ms. Murata would say that from the beginning of the year to the halfway through the semester, the account has increased 61%. So let's try a percent decrease one. So if we think back to our snow example, if in January last year, the newscasters say in January of 2013, we got 12 inches of snow. And then in January of 2014, that's this year, we only got 4 inches of snow. And they want to know what is the percent of change between this year and last year. So we see that last year we got more snow. That's the original amount. This is the new amount. Last year we got more snow than we got this year. So from last year to this year, the amount of snow is decreasing. So that's where we're going to use this little note for our let statement later. So the first thing we have to do is write our equation. Part equals percent times whole. Our part is always the difference between the original amount and the new amount. So if we originally had 12 and this year we have 4, that's an 8-inch difference. So we got 8 inches less snow this year than last year. This does not have to be a negative number, even though we're going, it's decreasing, because we're finding the positive percent of change. So it's decreasing 8 inches. You're going to say decreasing versus making it negative. So this is going to be 8 for the part equals. The percent is, we're looking for the percent of decrease, the amount the snow decreased this year. So we're going to say let P equal the percent decrease in snow. And that goes here. Our whole is always going to be the original amount, and that's 12, what we started with, what we had last year. So there's our equation, part equals percent times whole. To get P by itself and find the percent, we're going to divide both sides by 12, divided by 12, big 1. And 8 divided by 12 is a repeating decimal, 0.666 forever and ever, and that's equal to P. We could round this to 0.67 to make it a little easier to work with, and that's approximately P. And then we get P and we think, what is P? Like, this is equal to P, but what's P? And that's when we look back at our let statement. Whoa. Let's try that again. Look back at our let statement. So we know that P is equal to the decrease in snow, the percent decrease in snow. And that is a percent. This is not a percent. It's a decimal. So we have to convert this into a percent. So in order to do that, we could say 0.67 times 100, or we could say there are 67 hundredths, and both of these will give you the same answer, which is 67%. And that, if we look back to our let statement, is the percent decrease in snow from 2013 to 2014. So the newscasters could say from January 2013 to January 2014, there is 67% less snow this year than in January 2013.